something a little different. We're going to do a review of ecology, and you're going to, we have 19 terms here: mutualism, niche, estuary. And so you're going to, there's a PowerPoint that I'm going to attach with this assignment that you're going to go through, and you're going to identify each slide what the PowerPoint, which one of these terms goes with the PowerPoint. So I'll talk quickly about each one of these terms, and hopefully I should give you enough information. And again, it's review, so some of them are pretty easy, and some of them you're going to be, if you know the terms already, again, it's all review, it's going to be very straightforward. But if you're not so certain on the terms, it might be a little bit more difficult. So starting off with mutualism here, that's going to be one of the forms of symbiosis, the relationship between animals, and it's going to be when both benefit. Niche is just the job of an animal and that one might be a little bit more challenging to do. Niche, to identify this slide, some of them might be a little harder than others. Estuary is where you have fresh water, like a river meeting the ocean. Okay, and again, the point of the estuary is that's extremely abundant in biodiversity. Water cycle, you all know this one. It's evaporation, condensation, precipitation. Density independent limiting factor, a lot of words there, but it comes down to when you have a population in an ecosystem, what limits the number of the population is not related to the number of the population. It's related to the something in the environment, say like a wildfire or or maybe some type of a drought, something not related to. So if it's density dependent, it would be too many in the population causing the disease to spread or eating up all the food that's in the population. Speciation is the process of how one species will eventually they diverge from each other, and you have and this was the Galapagos with the finches, and you had the different types of finches becoming ground finches, developing the heavier beaks, and nowadays we can do that. People can do it, say, hint with say dogs, but they gave you a big hint on that one. Nitrification was bacteria. Okay, in the soil, there were different ways that nitrogen is combined in order to form nitrites, nitrates, and bacteria will use the nitrogen and again make it usable for us, and that's how. So that was something we didn't spend a lot of time on that, but that slide, it's going to be in the soil, it's going to be with roots. Primary and secondary succession is pretty straightforward. Primary succession is when you have there's barren land, and the process that trees and plants the time it'll take for those to develop. Same with secondary, is that the soil's already there, but the soil, it burns, something burns down, and so that would be secondary succession. So the soil's already in place, so the plants will come back in and recolonize an area. Biomagnification is a poison that's introduced to an ecosystem, and how the poison will intensify as it goes up the food chain. Climax forest is when trees, the largest species of trees, grow and kind of cut off light at the top of the canopy in the forest, and no other species can grow But it's when you have again the oak trees and the beech trees and the larger deciduous trees or it could be in the jungle too, but that kind of top out the ecosystem. Fungi, again, just mushrooms. That one's pretty easy. Biome, this slide, again, it focuses on the amount of precipitation, the amount of water, and the temperature of an ecosystem is kind of how you can identify a biome. A desert's going to be very dry. A tropical rainforest is going to be very wet and warm. Desert can up to a certain point, then when it gets too cold, a desert becomes tundra. And then again, usually it's an easy way to identify biomes. Biosphere is where all living things live on Earth. It's from anywhere from the Marianas Trench to the Rappel's Vulture. Commensalism, again, you have it's a relationship, some part of symbiosis, the relationship between a host species but the host isn't damaged by the creature that's living with it. So parasitism, okay, one is the host is hurt by say the creature that's in the relationship hurts the host. Carbon cycle, this one comes down to plants taking in CO2, plants growing leaves. Those leaves, or a tree might get chopped down and burned again. The CO2 goes back into the atmosphere. It's that cycle of carbon. Predator-prey relationship. Okay, that one's pretty straightforward. The prey becomes more abundant. The predator population will become more abundant. As the predator population becomes more abundant, they start to kill off all the prey. Prey population drops, and then the predator population drops. So it's kind of the up and down cycle between predator and prey. And the community is just a group of different species living together in an ecosystem. So that one, and I've never done this kind of a lesson before. So if there's some slides that are questionable, you can argue like this is what I think this one is. As far as, because some of the ones might be a little confusing. So, I mean, don't stress too much if there's a slide that's kind of questionable, that's in the PowerPoint that you're not really sure what it's representing. And there's only a few slides I think that you're going to find a little bit confusing, so it shouldn't be too bad. But if you're confused on one, don't worry too much that you're not really sure, because this might need a little tuning as far as making it really a decent lesson. So do your best with it and see how you can see if you can remember some of the things that we talked about during the year. Hopefully that makes it a little easier.